Williamsville to Orchard Park, covering all of Western New York, this is News 4, your local news leader.
The second month of the second Trump administration is underway. The first month having a whirlwind of changes ordered by the White House.
Scott Macfarlane is a CBS News justice correspondent. He's been following several developments inside the Beltway for us and outside the Beltway for us. Scott, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Let's actually start outside the Beltway. I've been seeing that you've been following the Mayor Eric Adams case very closely, as has much of this country and even beyond. So let's talk a little about the developments today. What did this federal judge do, and what was the reaction that you've heard thus far?
Now, what we have here is a cliffhanger. The corruption case, the historic corruption case against the mayor of America's largest city is going to keep going at least for a few more weeks. Famously this week, the Department of Justice, with Trump allies at the helm, asked a judge to dismiss Adams' case, arguing in part Adams is needed in his job, focused, untethered to a criminal case, to help the administration implement immigration and border security policies. That is not a traditional reason for the Department of Justice to try to drop a case. So a judge heard some arguments. Both sides want it dismissed, but the judge wants to hear more, wants to hear somebody else come in untethered to the Department of Justice or Mayor Adams to make an argument as to why this case maybe should stay alive. For now, the trial's off the calendar. There won't be a trial in April, and this case remains pending over the mayor for at least a few more weeks.
Scott, there has been a tremendous amount of talk over the past couple of weeks about this deal being a quid pro quo deal. Are you hearing any more of that in the wake of this federal decision, decision by this federal judge today?
Boy, that really is the concern. Both sides have denied it, and they denied it in open court on Wednesday. The argument was by a former prosecutor who used to handle the case that Mayor Adams agreed to help out the president if the federal government would dump the case. Both sides have denied that, and they denied it to the judge Wednesday. But that would set a pretty dangerous precedent for the Department of Justice nationwide if that type of deal could be executed in other criminal cases. It would make it very difficult to prosecute, say, a Congress member from New York State, a school board or sheriff from Michigan or Milwaukee. These things have consequences nationwide, which is why there's such outsized interest in what happens to New York City's mayor.
Scott, something else you are closely watching is the Trump administration's mass firings affecting thousands of federal government employees all across the country and here in Western New York. We're learning several labor unions are trying to stop and get these layoffs reversed, and the Defense Department also temporarily pausing. What is the latest there?
As you well know, there's a special concern with cuts that have begun at the Veterans Affairs Department. There's concern it could impact VA clinics and VA hospitals. Nobody wants to see that happen. The legal challenges are trying to slow down some of these agency purges, and they are slowing it down. Judges are having hearings. It's putting some sand in the gears for the Trump administration, but it's not going to stop all of them. The administration does have the discretion to cut workers, and here's the group to watch out for. The local probationary workers of the federal government, those in Western New York who've been with their agencies or in their positions for less than 2 years. They're easier to trim, and the government seems keen on going forward with those cuts first.
Scott Macfarlane is a CBS News justice correspondent. Scott, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday.
Thank you.